Jordain, and with her to challenge Gilroy Lannon, a man who should never have been king of this land. Together, we had brought him and his family down in the span of a morning, a bloody yet victorious sunrise. And now Jordain was acting as if I had been darting through battle once more, all because I was late for dinner. I had to remind myself to be understanding. I was not accustomed to fatherly fussing. I had lived my entire life not knowing who my blood father was. And oh, how regretfully I knew now who I had descended from. I pushed his name from my mind, focusing instead on the man standing before me, the man who had adopted me as his own months ago, when the two of us joined our knowledge to plot a rebellion against King Lannon. Cartier and I had much to talk about. And don't look at me like that, Father. We're back in time, I said, but my cheeks warmed under Jordain's attentive scrutiny. And when he shifted his eyes to Cartier, I think he knew. Cartier and I had not been merely talking. I irresistibly thought back to that moment when I had stood with Cartier in his dilapidated castle on Morgan lands, when he had given me my passion cloak at last.
Yes, well, I told you to be back before dark, Brienna,
Jordain said, and then he softened his tone when he addressed Cartier.
Morgan, nice of you to join us for a celebratory feast. Thank you for extending the invitation, MacQuinn,
Cartier returned with a respectful bow of his head. It was odd to hear such names spoken aloud, for they didn't align as such within my mind. And while others would begin to address Cartier as Lord Aodhan Morgan, I would always think of him as Cartier. Then there was Jordain, my patron turned father. When I had met him 2 months ago, he had introduced himself as Alderic Jordain, his Valenian alias. But, like Cartier, he was far more than that. He was Lord Davin MacQuinn the Steadfast. And while others would begin to address him as such, I would call him father, and would always think of him as Jordain.
Come, the two of you.
Jordain led us up to the dais, where the Lord's family was to sit and sup at a long table. Cartier winked at me when Jordain's back was angled to us, and I had to swallow a smile of pure joy. "There you are," Luke cried as he entered the hall through one of the side doors, his gaze finding me on the dais. The young girls paused in their pine and flower arrangements to giggle and whisper as Luke passed them. His dark brown hair was in disarray, which was a daily occurrence, and his eyes were bright with mirth. He clomped up the dais stairs to sweep me into an embrace, acting as if we had been apart for months, although I had seen him earlier that afternoon. He took me by the shoulders and turned me about, so he could see the silver threads stitched upon my passion cloak. "Mistress Brienna," he said. I turned back around and laughed, to finally hear the title linked to my name. "It's a beautiful cloak." "Yes, well, I waited long enough for it, I should think," I replied, helplessly glancing to Cartier. "Which constellation is it?" Luke asked. "I fear I am rather horrible with astronomy." "It is Aviana." I was a mistress of knowledge now, something I had labored years at Magnolia House to achieve. And in that moment, standing in Jordain's hall in Mavana, surrounded by family and friends, wearing my passion cloak, with Isolde Kavanaghs about to return to the northern throne, I could not have been more satisfied. As we all sat down, I watched Jordain, a golden chalice in his hands, his face carefully guarded as he surveyed his people entering the hall for dinner. I wondered what he was feeling, to finally come home after being gone for those 25 years of terror, to wade back into his role of lord to these people. I knew the truth of his life, of his Maven past as well as his Valenian one. He had been born in this castle as a noble son of Mavana. He had inherited the lands and people of MacQuinn, striving to protect them as he was forced to serve the horrible King Gilroy Lannon. I knew Jordain had witnessed terrible things.